Hi, this week's therapy juice is all about the shoulds. And to bring it to life a little bit, I'm going to share some examples with you and work through a couple of different shoulds that came up at the Midlife Collective that I hosted here in Hastings at the beginning of the month. So essentially, when we talk about the shoulds, it's those statements that we make about what we should be doing, what others should be doing, how the world should be. And as you can probably imagine, if you're familiar with shoulding yourself, it brings with it some different emotions and behaviours. And that's what we're going to talk about today, and how to ultimately sort of take a bit of a step back from those shoulds, or the tyranny of the shoulds, as I called it. So to begin with then, here are some examples. Don't know if these will resonate with you or not. Here are some examples of the shoulds that came up at the Midlife Collective. So there was one about I should always be in control. I should be doing more. I should be doing everything myself, or I shouldn't need help. And I should be better. And that was about being a better friend or a better partner. And when we spoke about the physical sensations that came up when people were really caught up with those shoulds, there were a lot of anxiety type symptoms, like feeling quite tight in the chest and heart beating a bit faster, feeling physically tense. There were some emotions as well that came up, often frustration and guilt about not being able to do as much as people felt they should be doing. And the behaviours, interestingly, that were linked to these shoulds and the physical sensations and emotions, the behaviours were really telling. So there was this sort of general speeding up, trying to do more and be more. And I thought that was really interesting, and it was wonderful to see, like, as a group, people hearing other people's shoulds and being able to recognize some of those in themselves, but also just hearing them said out loud by somebody else especially can really bring it home to you, like how demanding these ideas are, these shoulds, how much pressure they can put on us, and sometimes actually how unrealistic they are. So bit of geeky therapy information coming now. A psychiatrist, David Burns, identified 4 kinds of shoulds. So he spoke about self-directed shoulds, which are self-imposed standards, and those shoulds are linked with feelings of guilt and shame and anxiety. Other directed shoulds were about expectations of others, and they tended to be associated with feelings of anger and actual conflict. World-directed shoulds are, as the title suggests, expectations on how the world should be and how it should work, and those shoulds were really linked with feelings of frustration. And then the one that I thought was most interesting, he called hidden shoulds. And these are sort of implicit standards that are revealed in our reactions. So for instance, feeling frustrated with ourselves when we make a mistake. The implication there being I shouldn't make a mistake, or I should be perfect. So don't know about you, but straight away I could see in some of those examples, like I should be in control, I should be doing more, I should do it all myself. Those all really sounded self-directed, and potentially like they could be hidden shoulds as well. Definitely the anxiety and guilt and frustration was showing up for people when they spoke about those shoulds. So that's all well and good, and I just want to talk a little bit now about sort of what you can do about it, about the shoulds, and how to free yourself up from them a little bit if they're getting in the way. I just want to sort of touch on traditional CBT or second wave cognitive behavioural therapy and third wave cognitive behavioural therapy, which is much more about changing the relationship that you have with your thoughts. So in traditional cognitive behavioural therapy, what we would probably do is weigh up the evidence for and against that should. So for example, I should be doing more. We might take that should and say, what's the evidence that you should be doing more, and what's the evidence against that? How true is that thought that you should be doing more? And you try and sort of, once you'd identified evidence for and against, you might try and come up with a more balanced alternative thought that you'd then try putting into action. And that method works really well for some people, and for others it kind of just adds into and fuels the overthinking and may become something else that they feel like they should be doing too. Now I should be doing my thought record. So third wave cognitive behavioural therapies like acceptance and commitment therapy and mindfulness-based CBT are much more about changing the relationships that we have with our thoughts so that we're able to choose what we want to do rather than being so caught up in those thoughts and treating them as facts that we sort of lose our way a little bit. And there are lots of really creative ways in ACT that help us to get a different perspective, to take a bit of a step back from our thoughts and feelings, and to make room for those painful emotions like frustration and guilt, in service of being the kind of people that we really want to be. So I'm not going to go into the emotions side of it today. Maybe we can come back to that next week. But I thought it'd be fun to share with you one of my favourite diffusion activities for working with the shoulds. This might make me sound a little bit bonkers, but hopefully it will help you to see your shoulds in a slightly different light. And if that's the case, then I'm happy to look a bit bonkers. So I quite like to imagine the shoulds as a 1980s pop band, and whenever a should pops into my head, I sort of think, oh, you know, here's their latest release. Oh, look, it's the I should be working on my business plan. Straight in at number 10, I should be spending more time with Alex. In at number 9, I should be doing more physical exercise. In at number, you get the picture. So apart from, I think, being quite a fun way of noticing your thoughts, being more aware of them, it also helps you to hold them a bit more lightly. They feel less intense if they're not kind of right here in your face, if you're able to take a bit of a step back from them. And in being able to take a step back, you can then start to choose how you want to respond. So I could have the thought, I should be doing my business plan, and I can notice and name what's going on, what that brings up for me, and decide, actually, is doing my business plan really important to me? And if so, what steps can I take to do that in a really supportive way for myself, in a really compassionate way? What would be a good step towards that, rather than sort of beating myself up with, I should be doing this and I should be doing that. So yeah, hopefully this week you can play around with that idea, and I would love to hear any ideas that you have as well about changing the way that you engage with your thoughts, with your shoulds. So do get in touch if you've got any creative ways of taking a bit of a step back. I would love to hear them. I'm going to start rambling now. So in my head, I'm going, you should be wrapping it up now. You should be bringing this to an end. So I'm going to notice that, and I'm probably going to go with it. Yeah, I think it's time to wrap up. I hope it's been helpful, and hopefully see you next week.